Tonight, well, it turns out the DOJ failed to dictate the final result of the 2016 presidential election, despite the fervent efforts of some of the bureaucrats who worked there. But a year and a half into the Trump administration, the Justice Department still seems at times to be operating as a kind of shadow government, a place that considers itself beyond the reach of normal oversight. Back in the real world, Congress has the explicit constitutional power to oversee the FBI and all other executive agencies. That's the way it's supposed to work. Apparently, that fact infuriates the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein. Earlier this year in January, Rosenstein threatened to subpoena the emails and the phone records of staffers on the House Intelligence Committee because the committee was being too aggressive in its probe of the Russia investigation. The message from Rosenstein: back off. You want to investigate us? We will investigate you. Fox Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge broke that story, and she has more on it tonight. Catherine?
Well, thanks, Tucker. The emails written on government accounts formally documented the January meeting for the House Office of General Counsel, the Hill's top lawyer who is charged with protecting Congress and its oversight responsibilities. The closed-door meeting included Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, FBI Director Christopher Wray, their senior advisors, as well as House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes and his senior staff, and it came at the height of alleged government surveillance abuses aimed at the Trump campaign. Today, senior lawmakers responded to allegations. The Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein threatened to subpoena records and turn the tables on the Republican-led House Intelligence Committee and staff over the Russia case.
It is deeply concerning that instead of having a cooperative relationship with this agency, respectful of the importance of the Congress having access to documents regarding matters that they're investigating, that they have oversight responsibility for, and this is not the way to conduct that.
Both the FBI and Justice Department strongly dispute the characterization. A Justice Department official told Fox News Rosenstein never threatened anyone with a criminal investigation. A House Intelligence Committee Democrat took aim at Chairman Nunes, whose staffers documented the incident.
I know the reputation of Rod Rosenstein, and that is one of impeccable character. And I know the reputation of Devin Nunes, and that is one of misleading, obstructing, attempting to intervene in an investigation.
Late today, Chairman Nunes and Republican members of the House Intelligence Committee signed this letter to Rod Rosenstein, rejecting another briefing by the FBI and Justice Department tomorrow, saying anything short of providing the records that are under subpoena, in their opinion, is an obstruction of justice. Tucker.
Catherine, thank you for that and for breaking that story in the first place. Rod Rosenstein's recent behavior is not the only example of the DOJ apparently viewing itself as beyond normal oversight. Months ago, we discovered that FBI agents Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were political ideologues whose personal views intruded on their law enforcement duties. How far did their misconduct go, and who else might be involved? The public has a right to know that, but we don't, because the DOJ keeps trying to censor the text messages between Strzok and Page before releasing them. Here's one example. In a September 2015 text, Strzok complained about the DOJ's handling of a case, but his exact complaint was redacted. Why? We don't know. But thanks to work by Senator Ron Johnson's office, we know that Strzok was complaining that the DOJ wanted to, quote, bargain away everything, and that it had, quote, Stockholm syndrome. Could Strzok have been referring to how the DOJ handled the Hillary Clinton email investigation and how it did everything it could to avoid bringing charges against any of Clinton's team? It looks that way from the context, but it's still not clear. What is clear is that nothing Strzok said was a security threat that would require a redaction in order to protect this country. The DOJ was just trying to cover itself to keep the public from learning the truths about what was going on. Is that a defense? Jonathan Turley is a professor at George Washington University Law School, and he joins us tonight. Professor, it's a very simple question. Is the Department of Justice allowed to redact information solely for the purpose of protecting its own reputation?
It is not, even though it has a long history of doing so, not just in Congress, but in the courts. What's really funny is that they will charge someone who gives them misleading information, but they'll tell Congress that they've redacted classified information that proves entirely unclassified. And there is this sense of acting with utter impunity when you redact these types of documents. If you look at the language that was uncovered by Senator Johnson and his staff, that material could not be considered classified under any definition. So the question is why the committee has long accepted this type of conduct, including Democrats. They can disagree with Chairman Nunes, they can disagree with the White House, but they should all agree on the fact that this is an improper use of redaction.
And it's been going on, you said, for quite some time. So this is basically the status quo. This is not a new way of doing business.
Unfortunately, it is. I've been counsel in national security cases against the government where they have redacted material, where I've objected to the courts that it's clearly not classified. I've been allowed into SCIFs or classified settings where I've reviewed the material. And this is a recurring complaint among counsel in national security cases.
So in this specific case, you have the Deputy Attorney General, and no one disputes these facts. The characterization is different on either side, but nobody disputes that Rod Rosenstein went over to the Congress and threatened to subpoena the personal communications of members there. Have you ever seen anything like that? And what does it suggest about the relationship between the DOJ and the Oversight Committee?
Well, first of all, it really does reflect the long mistreatment of Congress. You know, these committees have not had a robust oversight record. They often roll over. This is something new, and frankly, those of us who've wanted more oversight have welcomed the last year, because finally you have a committee saying, wait, we're not just going to accept any redactions you have. We're not going to take no for an answer on something we clearly have oversight duties. Now, threatening, whether it's criminal or civil, staffers or members is clearly inappropriate. You know, I can understand that Rosenstein may felt that he was being mistreated. But it doesn't matter. You have to get over it. Congress created the Department of Justice. This isn't personal. It is oversight business. So no matter how aggrieved you may be, you cannot speak to an oversight committee and threaten those staffers with taking something like subpoenas to their doorstep.
The Congress does have oversight over the executive agencies, including the Department of Justice, correct? Or is that, I mean, you watch the other channels and you'd think that that was something that right-wingers made up last week, but that's a constitutional principle. Am I right?
No, that's absolutely right. And you really shouldn't pick fights with people with oversight power.
Yeah, I guess you shouldn't. Professor, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tucker.